Hello, hi, and welcome to this episode of the Mandy Meyer podcast. As per usual, this is the podcast where we chat about your health and fat loss expedition, you setting and achieving those amazing goals for yourself, and you just getting that absolutely amazing progress on your health and fat loss expedition. And in other news, we're still not number one. We're still not on the number one spot of the South African podcast charts. Unfortunately not. Anyway, we digress. Let's get into today's episode of this podcast. For those of you who have rated and reviewed this podcast, obviously it means the world to me. Thank you so much, because as much as I joke about the number one podcast spot or whatever, that really doesn't faze me. Just any rating or review that does take place within the podcast sphere or whatever it is, it really helps that the podcast reaches new people. And that has always been the goal, is just to reach as many people as possible so we can get the word out there, so that we, and I say we because it takes like all of you guys helping me, just by listening to this podcast to get this podcast out there. So again, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. I made a video on my social media accounts, I think it was a couple of days ago, where I mentioned that fruit isn't bad for fat loss. And in the video, I said, just because nowadays people have got a mobile device, they think they can go into a grocery store and they land up in a fruit aisle and they take a video of themselves and they're like, oh my goodness, guys, don't eat fruit because fruit is so bad for fat loss. Or have you seen those ones where they go into the cereal aisle and they like grab a box of cereal and they post a video of like, oh my God, this is so bad for fat loss and your health. And I was saying nowadays, anyone with a mobile device or a camera can just make videos and post it onto social media. And if they've got hundreds and thousands and millions of followers, people will believe them, right? And I also went and I said in that video that I'm glad that I didn't have to lose my 40 kilograms now in this day and age, and that my 40 kilogram loss actually started 9 years ago, I think it was. It was on the 4th of January 2016, when there wasn't so much fear-mongering, that's the word, fear-mongering amongst or in the social media space. And the only reason why there is so much fear-mongering within the social media space is because, guess what? It's fucking good for engagement. People are very weird. I'm very honest when I say that. People are weird. Like, I will give you a video with the truth and the basics and, hey guys, this is what you need to do if you want to kickstart your health and fat loss expedition. And it will be the very basics of, work out your calorie goals. Number 2, focus on your food quality. Choose more whole foods over processed foods, but still incorporate some of your fun foods. And then also focus on your protein and your fiber. And those are pretty much your fundamentals when it comes to your nutrition. Increase your steps slightly and increase your movement slightly and gradually increase that over a period of time. And you will be creating a healthier lifestyle. No engagement. No one wants to hear that. As soon as someone says, don't eat this because it's bad for fat loss, oh my God, all the engagement, it just increases. Or if someone says, if you want a six-pack like me, you have to do these exercises, immediately the engagement increases. But they're giving you cuck information. Like, that information is purely there for engagement. I'm totally going off track as per usual. Now, if we go back to the fear-mongering side of things, where people are like, don't eat this or don't do that or whatever it is, again, like I said, that's very good for engagement. But what else is very good for engagement? Okay, and when I say engagement, it means drawing your attention to their social media videos, making you believe that they know best. For example, what else is good for engagement? It is people, content creators, influencers, trying to be as relatable as possible. So now, when people are trying to be as relatable as possible, you believe that they have gone through exactly the same that you are going through. And a big thing that I've seen on social media, and I think this can be very controversial, but I do feel that I need to chat about it just so that you guys know. A big thing that I've seen on social media is people saying you can eat whatever you want and you can lose fat. Or people saying, oh, you can eat as many chocolates as you want. Or people saying, this is what I eat every single day to lose fat. And a lot of the times it includes so much fun food. And I look at it and I'm like, who are you shitting? Like, who are you trying to fool? Because as someone who has lost 40 kilograms, I sure as fuck know that you cannot be eating whatever you want every single day and losing fat. And you cannot be incorporating as many fun foods as what you want and still see progress. Now, this is what gets to me, is because these people are creating things like that to help them seem relatable. Whereas in the background, we really need to start questioning what someone is actually eating. Myself, for example, my food choices throughout the day are proper nutrient-dense food choices. I'm having oats for breakfast, and I add some fruit to that depending what fruit I have in the house. Then for lunch, I have a cooked lunch, so protein with veggies. And my veggies are your basic veggies: broccoli, cauliflower, green beans, pumpkin, butternut, whatever it is, whatever veggies I feel like having, it's there. Sweet potatoes, my carbohydrates, it's there. But it's whole foods, and I'm having the same for dinner. In the evening, before I go to bed, I might have a cup, or I'm not might, during the winter, I always have a cup of hot chocolate before I go to bed. And that is my fun food. That is my fun food in moderation. Then sometimes, maybe once a week, I might have a chocolate bar, for example, okay? Or then on the weekends, that's where I'll have maybe a little bit more fun foods, when I incorporate a burger and definitely some beers. So there I have my fun foods. But again, this is me being very open, honest, and just transparent with you guys, that if you want to see progress, you cannot fucking be eating whatever you want every single day and still expecting to see progress. And these people who say to you, continue eating whatever you want to eat and, incorporate as much fun foods as you want, and just a lot of them are still saying, have your burgers, have your chips, just be within a calorie range. Unfortunately, as someone that has been overweight, it's not as simple as that. Because I know these people that are sharing that they eat chocolate bars and they eat burgers and they still maintain their weight. Guess what? Their habits and their consistency and their exercise, it's probably phenomenal, because that's what they fucking do for a living. They are personal trainers, or they are in the health sort of industry for whatever they do. Like, I look at myself, for example, my habits are of healthy habits. I'm smashing 12 to 15,000 steps per day. I'm, drinking my water. These are things that are instilled within my lifestyle. So if I incorporate an extra chocolate or an extra burger, if I want to, again, it's not going to make a major train smash for me, because even my mindset is at the point where proceed as per normal if you do have something like that. Whereas if you are just starting out on your health and fat loss expedition, your mindset might not be in the same place as someone else's mindset that has been doing this for several years. Your consistency with your exercise, you might only be starting that, right? So you might not be burning as many calories throughout the day as what someone else is. Now, I want you to know that this isn't me saying don't cut out all chocolates or don't ever eat a burger again. But the harsh reality of it is you really do need to watch what you are eating and drinking if health and fat loss is your goal. Someone who hasn't yet worked on a shift of mindset when it comes to maybe feeling guilty about eating certain foods, which, by the way, you never need to feel guilty for eating any food. Food is food at the end of the day. But I know, as someone who was formerly obese, if I did have a chocolate when I was on my health and fat loss expedition right in the beginning, there would have been an element of guilt, and that would have led to me spiraling and potentially eating more highly palatable foods, right? So again, like I said, a lot of the times these people online, they're like, eat whatever you want. What they maybe are missing is that you need to work on the mindset shifts around certain foods. You need to work on removing that guilt when it comes with certain foods. You still need to work on that level of consistency or increasing your steps or your daily movement. All of those things, you as a beginner, when it comes to your health and fat loss expedition, you're still working on them, right? And a lot of the times it isn't only about the food choices that you are making. A lot of the times it's the mindset around the food choices that you are making. And I know that this episode probably made no sense, and it made a lot more sense in my head, but trying to verbalize it is quite difficult. All I'm saying is a lot of the times people will post things on social media purely for a form of engagement. Number one, don't fall for this fear-mongering shit at all. Number two, a lot of people that post, eat whatever you want, whenever you want, you need to keep in mind that is for engagement purposes. That is so that they can feel that they're relating to you or with you. But again, we honestly don't know what those people are really eating in the background, because I can be honest with you now. If I had to go into a mini cut, into a fat loss phase right now and lose, let's say I wanted to lose 3 kilograms, I would have to be highly pedantic about the foods that I am eating. I wouldn't just be eating burgers and chips and chocolates and being like, oh, I hope I see progress. No, I really need to dial in my nutritional choices, because for me, having a burger and chips, I'm smashing over 1,000 calories there already. How the fuck am I going to adhere to my calorie goals, right? And that's what they are not telling you. That's what they are not bringing up. Because why? Because no one wants to hear that. Everyone wants to hear you can eat whatever you want and still lose fat, right? But if they have to add the disclaimer, okay, you can eat whatever you want, but it's going to be bloody difficult to adhere to your calories, immediately they're going to lose engagement. After 12 minutes of me rambling on, the real message that could have been said within a minute, if that, is, guys, if fat loss is your goal, okay, you really do need to dial in your nutrition. You really do need to make more choices of whole foods, right? So you need to focus on your whole foods. You really need to look at adding more protein to your plan, because it's going to help keep you fuller for longer. You are really going to need to look at starting to reduce your fun foods, not restrict, but reduce those fun foods. And you're really going to, like I said, just need to dial in your nutrition, okay, if you do want to see progress. And that doesn't mean that you can't eat burgers and chips, absolutely, but you always need to keep in mind, if you are going to have that burger and those chips, then you might go over calories for that day. That's where the mindset shift comes in, and then you're going to say, okay, that's fine. We're going to need to work on feeling off that, reducing that feeling of guilt and not feeling guilty, and then you're going to have to work on the mindset shift of proceed as per normal when I do go over calories. And these are all the things that are left out on social media. And that was my message to you. If you want to see fat loss progress, there needs to be a very good level of, I want to say, balance. There needs to be a very good level of moderation. You really need to focus on the quality of your food choices so that it can help with your adherence. And again, we need to keep in mind that this isn't only about fat loss, but this is also about your health and you improving your health to live a healthier lifestyle. And your food choices play a massive role within that. On that note, I'm going to love and leave you like I usually do. Keep smiling, keep laughing, and keep being kind to one another. Much love, your friend who just made no sense at all, Mandy.